This is CNN
Radio.
It's happening right now, probably to your bank or your electric company. The hacking of computer and network systems across the world goes well beyond the garden variety personal ID theft. More and more cyber attacks are coming from coordinated criminal groups in countries that are adversaries of the U.S. With the nation's financial sector and national security under cyber attack literally every minute, there's a new push in Washington to better defend against it. But it's a push coming face-to-face with privacy issues. I'm CNN's Edgar Tragetz. Certainly, there is a chorus of alarm that's building.
The threats are real and growing.
We are in a cyber war, and at this point, we're losing.
Yes, you should be very scared. Our countries should be scared.
That's just a sample from that chorus. It includes the military, politicians, and academics. They all worry about cyber threats against the U.S., and it's not just the nation's critical infrastructure at stake. Annie Anton, a Georgia Tech computer security expert, says it's more than that.
Nation states are very interested in our intellectual property. We design and we develop architectures and we create new technologies, and they want to be able to copy that.
These cyber attack threats aren't new, of course. Big companies have been targeted by hackers for the better part of a decade.
What's changed is not that the rate has increased, but that our knowledge of them has increased.
That's James Lewis, cybersecurity expert and senior fellow with the Center for Strategic and International Studies.
So it turned out we were getting whacked all the time, but we just didn't know it. Now we know it, and that's why the problem is getting such attention.
Most of that whacking, Lewis says, comes from China. A recent report from security firm Mandiant tied a group of Chinese hackers to the country's government. It said the group's responsible for infiltrating more than 100 U.S. companies the past 6 years. North Korea and Russia also get blamed for cyber attacks, but the newest player on the world stage is moving companies and the U.S. government to action. That's Iran. It's blamed for a cyber attack that destroyed 30,000 Saudi oil company computers last summer. Then, in October, U.S. officials said it was Iran that hit a number of American banks with denial of service attacks. James Lewis with CSIS says Iran is the wake-up call.
And the fact that the Iranians could do as much damage as they did, and they aren't that sophisticated, that really scared a lot of companies. And so Iran is the thing that changed people's minds.
Including changing minds in Washington. In his February State of the Union address, President Obama put cybersecurity front and center.
We cannot look back years from now and wonder why we did nothing in the face of real threats to our security and our economy.
Right after that speech, the president signed an executive order for the government to share cyber threat information with businesses at risk. It's a one-way information flow. The president's order has been generally welcomed, but there's pushback over a House bill that would allow companies to give threat information to the government. There's worry that the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act, or CISPA, could put customer and worker information in the government's hands.
I'm Michelle Richardson, Legislative Counsel for the ACLU.
Groups like the ACLU say companies may not take the time to filter out personal information from threat data.
The problem is the legislation drafted narrowly to only allow them to share that information? Or can they just forward vast amounts of data that includes things like your records of what websites you visited, or your email address, or your contacts?
We feel strongly that the bill clearly deals with the privacy issues.
That's Maryland Democrat Dutch Ruppersberger. He's been helping to revise CISPA ever since it stalled in the House last year over privacy concerns.
And again, I want to say this over and over. It does not authorize the government to monitor your computer, to read your email, tweets, or Facebook posts. That's clear what the law is.
Experts on cybersecurity, like James Lewis, say details of privacy language in CISPA can be worked out, and a law like this is needed now to fortify U.S. cyber defenses.
The problem is political. People are so nervous. You had the warrantless surveillance program in the previous administration, and people are worried in general about their privacy on the internet, that it makes it an emotional issue. So the obstacles here really aren't technical, they're emotional. And how do we get around that? That's the political problem.
Meanwhile, the clock is ticking, and that, says Georgia Tech's Annie Anton, should be the real push to pass CISPA.
We've been really lucky that we keep defending and trying to outsmart them, but eventually we're going to get attacked in a way that we can't defend. And that could happen any day.
Edgar Tragetz, CNN.